you guys. So I think let's start off talking about the iPhone
The iPhone
10s.
and the 10s Max and the 10R.
Andrew, so you hear us over there?
I can hear you, yeah.
I'm going to grab some AirPods for you.
Okay, thank you. So Andrew, what was the most kind of unexpected thing, let's say, or what kind of wowed you the most? What do you really want to start off talking about?
I mean, I'm definitely a photos guy, photo video stuff. So I was really impressed with a lot of the photo improvements that we saw. You know, Apple doesn't tend to be the one to just kind of do a normal spec bump of just pushing out some new megapixels. They have like a lot of like smaller things that people weren't thinking about when they were looking for what is going to be improved in the new cameras. So I'm really excited to try that new bokeh adjustment there after you've shot photos, see the improvements in portrait mode. There's still some wonkiness with the current ones taking portrait photos with some weird things can be picked up. I mean, we saw the sample photos. They looked pretty amazing, but we'll actually have to get our hands on it to see how those actually come out. But I'm really most excited for those cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that as well. There's one thing that I'm really excited about. I'll mention in just a second, but to add on to what you said, Andrew, I was excited to see that slider. As soon as they showed that off.
The aperture, that's insane.
I mean,
the thing I noticed is the bokeh changes. It like warps as you're moving the slider. It's not just like gets smaller and larger. It actually like...
It changes the shape. So when Apple introduced the portrait mode, they did a lot of things right, but it didn't exactly match up a DSLR style bokeh. And we do professional video for a living, and so we can kind of see the small hints and differences. And we recently did a comparison with the Note 9, and it did a better job with the bokeh ball simulating that. So I'm really excited and glad to see the Apple's improving that, and to have that slider and really fine tune the look of your image. And then especially like at the edges of the frame, you have bokeh that's not perfectly round. It's shaped like you would with a lens that has a shallow depth of field.
Yeah,
that's
a
really
good
nice.
job. Yeah. And the portrait blur is actually getting a lot better around the edges. I remember the iPhone 10, it didn't do that well, but with the new iPhone 10s, it just looks amazing. It looks like really comparable to a DSLR. It's awesome.
So I guess I'll hit on something that I wasn't surprised about, but it didn't hit me when the rumors were coming out. That's the dual SIM. So for the US models, and I guess globally other than China, it's going to be eSIM, so you just put in all your information. And I actually have two different phones. A lot of people that have businesses out there might have a personal phone and a business phone. And it does get to be a pain to have two different phones. A lot of times I leave my business phone here at the office. So being able to have the auto switching functionality where you can have both phone numbers come through automatically and they'll just pop up and work, that's going to be a really big convenience.
Yeah, what do you think, Andrew?
I mean, I don't really travel outside the country too much, and I mean, other than maybe occasional dive trips, but it hasn't been anything that's been too prohibitive for me. So the dual SIM thing is probably not going to exactly be something that I'm going to be needing. It's like a really cool feature, and I like to see they have like the physical and the eSIM together. They're finally bringing that eSIM over from the Apple Watch and the iPad. So I'm glad to see the eSIM moving forward, and hopefully kind of that's just something that we switch to altogether and kind of get rid of more of those physical, almost like a blemish on the side of your phone there, because you still have to have that physical port.
Yeah, I think it's, for most people, it probably won't matter because most people don't need that. But for the people that use dual SIMs or have two phones, I think that is going to make, a big difference.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that IP68 water resistance. And that's a pretty big thing. I mean, I think it was up to 2 meters, 30 minutes underwater. And they also said that it works in any liquid as well. So they did a lot of testing on that. So that's really interesting because I believe the Note 9 is 68 also, isn't it?
Probably. Samsung's
pretty sure,
been doing that longer.
So that's really great to hear. What do you think about that, Andrew?
I particularly like the throw out to salt water. I'm a scuba diver, so we're kind of like around the water a lot. And I love seeing they tested this in salt water because can tend to be a little bit more corrosive and make you a little bit more nervous, even with like the existing water resistance. So I'm glad to see that not only is it going to be able to withstand more, but it's going to be able to work with those different waters without having to be too worried about it.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm excited about personally with the 10s Max model. Gotta make sure I don't say 10s Plus. It's natural to say it that way. The 10s Max is the battery life. I did take a hit going from the iPhone 8 Plus to the iPhone 10. It was noticeable, and I'm excited to get more battery life because I do find myself using my phone all the time, and then I always have to charge up towards the end of the day. So if you go through the specs on Apple's website, they actually have some more details about the battery life. And compared to the 10, it's showing 1 extra hour for internet use and 2 extra hours for video streaming. And I do quite a bit of video streaming with a lot of stuff on YouTube. So that's going to make a difference day to day for me.
Yep. And one thing I also noticed is the Super Retina display on the 10s and the 10s Max apparently has 60% greater dynamic range than the iPhone 10. So that's one thing that a lot of people could have missed, and that's very interesting to hear. Because the iPhone 10 is already OLED, and it just looks amazing, so much better than the LCD iPhones of the previous years. So that's really awesome.
I wonder how they're going to achieve that, because the dynamic range is, I guess, the difference between the brightest and the darkest. So is it going to get less bright? Is it going to get brighter overall? They didn't really mention any nits differences. So
yeah,
I guess we'll have to see when we get our hands on. I was also surprised. I guess Andrew, you can kind of fill in here too. But the price point, I was not expecting the 10s Max to be only $100
only
more.
$100. That's insane.
I was expecting maybe $200 difference. So it's good to see that. Yeah. So that really sells the larger phone for me. So I'm definitely going to be upgrading to that.
Yeah, and there's actually a web page on Apple's website. If you go to the 10s and then you go to the display and click Learn More, there's actually a comparison where you can compare the 10s and the 10x Max to whatever phone you have now, just to see the difference in size and the screen size as well. So that's pretty awesome they added that.
So how about we ask the audience? I know a lot of you guys are commenting over here. I'm seeing the comments listed here. What was really a surprise for you guys from the Apple event? You guys can comment. And if you have any questions, you guys can comment as well. And we'll try to answer those before we move on to the next phone.
So one person asked about fast chargers. So it actually is still going to come with the same 5-watt charger and the same USB-A charging cable instead of the USB-C one that was apparently leaked and people thought that it was going to come with. So we're not going to see that, but it still supports the fast charging just like the iPhone 10 did.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Andrew?
I mean, it was a bummer. That was probably the one thing that I was kind of hoping for. There's two things I was really hoping to see from Apple sooner rather than later, which is third-party USB-C to Lightning cables and just a USB-C and a fast charger included in the box. I guess the plus side to the fact that we're still stuck with that 5-watt charger is without buying another one, it makes wireless a little bit more attractive, especially since we apparently seem to be getting some faster wireless charging speeds on the new phones as well. That really wasn't mentioned, but it was kind of highlighted on their website. I guess we don't still know the exact speed, maybe 10 watts, but it does charge faster wirelessly than the iPhone 10.
Yeah, I actually looked through the technical specifications page on there, trying to find exactly how much, but I couldn't find it. So hopefully 10, or I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't think they'd upgrade it from 7.5 to 8 or something like that.
If it was a big deal, and if it was more, like, I don't know how much more.
Maybe
like,
if it was 15, they'd probably push that number more.
So it's probably a little bit faster.
I guess we'll see. Yeah. And it's good to know, because that's one of the downsides with wireless. And I don't use wireless too often unless it's just standing on a stand that has it built in, because if I plug in using the USB-C charger or the one included with the iPads, it's so much faster. So it's going to be more convenient to make use of that.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of comments, people asking about the 120 hertz display. So it's actually not getting the 120 hertz ProMotion display that the iPad Pro had. It's actually just the input rate. So that's just for like the touch and the smoothness and everything. It's not actually the refresh rate. So we're not going to see that, guys. And another thing that was very interesting, the 10s Max gets horizontal support, which is really nice, like the 8 Plus had. The iPhone 10 didn't have that. And let's talk about the speakers. So they said they enhanced with like wider stereo sound and new software to make it feel more wide. And it also records stereo sound as well.
Instead of mono.
And it has 4 microphones, right?
Yeah. And I'm definitely glad Apple keeps pushing the quality of the speakers. And in most of our comparisons with other alternative phones, the iPhone comes out on top almost always.
Yeah.
And you already get really good sound from these really small, thin phones, and so much better than just a few years ago. So seeing that they're improving it even more so it's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
What
We
other
could talk
questions we have?
about Face ID. It's pretty much like Face ID 2.0. It's all updated. It's faster algorithms, faster secure enclave. Probably thanks to the A12 chip, right, Andrew? Because of the A12 chip improvements in the neural engine.
Yeah, I mean, the neural engine is kind of crazy. Going from 2 cores to 8 cores, 5 trillion operations a second. It's kind of a beast of a processor. So that's definitely going to do, there's faster algorithms, faster secure enclave. And iOS 12 was already giving us faster unlock speeds on the iPhone 10. So I'm really excited to kind of try that out because it seems to be pretty much instant at the moment. It's going to be kind of cool just to see how quick it is on those new phones.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they said that iOS 12 opens apps 30% faster. So if we combine that with the A12 chip and how much faster that is, it's going to be really, I guess, impressive to see how fast it'll open stuff and just how smooth it'll be.
Do you want to look at maybe some more questions that people have? And I'll also mention that we're not getting the headphone jack anymore. If you look through what's included in the box, the little adapter.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was upset kind of when they got rid of the headphone jacks in the phones. But with the AirPods coming out and with so much more Bluetooth options, including a lot of less expensive ones, if you don't have the budget to buy AirPods or some other more expensive higher end Bluetooth headphones, I rarely use wired headphones, even the ones I had before. So I rarely make use of that adapter. So I don't think it's as big of a deal. We had it for a few years, and now Bluetooth is really kind of going mainstream.
Yep. Let's talk about AirPower. So I think it was revealed a year ago, right? At last year's Apple's September event, and we're still yet to see any updates, any release date on the AirPower charging mat. So any thoughts on that, Andrew?
It definitely feels late, but I guess technically we're still within Apple's designated range. They told us that it was going to be coming out in 2018. They didn't say like early, late, whatever. So I guess technically we're still within the release zone, but it's definitely surprising and a little bit disheartening that we didn't see at least some sort of announcement, even if it was going to be coming in 2 months. I was hoping to see something, possibly a wireless AirPods case at the same time. I was really hoping to see something, but I guess we're going to have to be holding out a little bit longer.
Yep. And somebody just asked if the iPhone 10 is getting discontinued, and checking the Apple website, we just have the 10s, the 10R, the iPhone 8, and the iPhone 7.
The 10 is gone.
Yep, 10 is gone.
I think it makes sense, especially with the 10R coming out and how much features and specs they packed into that. I think it's a good transition point to talk about that phone, that they're not going to offer the iPhone 10 at a lower price for the following year because you have that new phone option along with the two 10s models. I got to say, I was impressed with the 10R.
Oh, yeah.
I was not expecting it to be packed with those kind of specs and that many features. I think they put a lot into that phone. I guess maybe I should also mention we still have about a month before that's going to be available. So if those of you guys that want to buy that model, you guys are going to have to wait.
Yeah, October 14th. You have to wait to order until October. Yep, 14th, and let me see. Actually, 19th. It's the 19th for ordering and the 26th for shipping.
I think Apple is going to sell a lot of those. People that have iPhone 5Ss, 6s, 7s that have been holding off, that didn't want to buy a phone for $1,000 and it wasn't worth it to upgrade to the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. Size-wise, it's right in the middle. I think it's a really good choice. And price-wise, I was expecting it to be $699. It's $649. But I also wasn't expecting those specs and kind of the features that they added into there.
Yep, $749 for the
$749.
10R, starting at 64 gigabytes. The awesome thing is that it still comes with the same A12 Bionic chip. It still comes with the same wide camera, gets the same Face ID, trued up camera array and everything.
Now let's let Andrew touch on this. Andrew, what are your thoughts? What were you surprised or impressed by?
Well, I think the first thing, the display looks pretty solid. Like, it did adapt a lot of things that I was kind of thinking it wouldn't have. It still has that wide color gamut. It still has True Tone in there. All those really nice features that trend towards the higher end handsets. I was a little disappointed that they dropped 3D Touch because I love it so much, but they introduced that new kind of like haptic version instead. So I'm going to be really excited to try that out and see how well it replicates that. So that'll be interesting to play around with and see how that performs. I was also really impressed, and obviously I know we're going to be doing a ton of camera comparisons here, but what about that portrait mode with a single camera, using that new neural engine and the segmentation of the photo to still pick out the background? That's pretty amazing. Like, those photos looked eerily similar using only one camera. So that's going to be really fun to kind of test and see how big of a difference there actually is with two cameras versus the one.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest surprise with the 10R. I was not expecting Apple to include a portrait mode with that model. It has a single lens, and we know it's possible because of different phones that are competing with the iPhone. But I was surprised that they included that. I think that would have been a big thing that would make a difference, try to get you to upgrade to the 10S, but they included it. And not only did they include it, you still have the option to adjust those photos with the amount of blur, what kind of aperture you want to select. It still has the bokeh balls and how it tweaks the lighting, and that looks really great on it. And I'm very, very impressed. And I think people are going to be really happy with it. And also, I want to add on, the downside with the 10 is if you wanted the portrait mode shots, you had to use the portrait mode with the longer lens. And with that lens, you don't get as much light. And so in low light situations, you get more noise. They have been improving that, but that's still there. And sometimes you do want to get a wide perspective, but still have the ability to blur out the background, just like if you're shooting with the DSLR, a fast wide lens. So in certain situations, we would still use the wide lens because you want that perspective, but you can't get the best of both. So now with both of these phones, with the 10S, you're going to be able to use portrait mode on the wide lens as well. And if you have the budget phone, you could still get those nice shots with bokeh.
Yeah, it was interesting because the iPhone 7 Plus and the 8 Plus, like the major selling point was to have portrait mode. Everybody wanted that, and now it's just on the cheaper 10R model, which is really awesome for $749. So everybody's getting the portrait.
Yeah, my wife, we got her a 7 Plus when that came out, just because, even though it's huge for her, just because of that portrait mode. So now she can get something that's smaller and fits her hand better, and still have that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Andrew, anything about the 10R?
I don't know. It looks like a really capable phone. I think people are going to be really, really happy with it. I think that portrait mode is just such a selling feature. I talked to so many people, ahead of this that kept asking, like, what are we going to see? And they kind of highlighted that the one feature they really wanted was that portrait mode, but they didn't want the huge plus-sized phone. They didn't want to pay the $1,000 for the iPhone 10. So this is kind of a really great way to get that price lower. Obviously, the 8 Plus is still sticking around for even less than the iPhone 10R, so that's still an option for people. But if they want smaller phone, don't want to spend as much on the new 10S and 10S Max, they have that new option there. I think it's really well positioned. No need for that iPhone 10 to stick around. It'll be a really great budget option. And we also didn't mention the colors look pretty awesome.
I was just going to say
one in the images, man, that looks great. I really like that blue one. Even with the aluminum frame, that matte color just looks really good.
And we still have wireless charging, right? Same glass back, wireless charging. So it's not like by going with a cheaper phone, you're going to miss out on, the build quality, the feel of the glass back and the wireless charging.
Yeah, and the colors are going to come in white, black, blue, coral, yellow, and product red. And they're all going to be aluminum with the wireless charging.
I like that red one.
The red one looks amazing.
All of them look really good.
I think this
is wanted a red iPhone 10 or 10S or 10S Max. That's what I wanted. I want to see the stainless in those colors instead of the aluminum. I want that for next year.
I gotta say that gold looks cool too. The gold 10S Max and 10S looks.
It looks amazing.
I do wonder how
so nice stainless steel.
the coating is gonna hold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mine is like, if you just have the silver, it just stays the same, but this dark one's peeling off. So I wonder how that gold one's gonna last.
Well, what's interesting is that I think it's the same exact color with the stainless steel Apple Watch Series 4. I think we can go ahead and get into that now. I think it perfectly matches, right? The iPhone XS gold and the stainless steel gold.
It looked like it.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Andrew, I think we can maybe hit on the new Apple Watches. I know you cover a lot of that on our channel. What are your thoughts?
I mean, there was a lot of hesitation this year. I really loved the Series 3. Had it since launch. I was definitely sold on the cellular. I was a super big skeptic at the onset. Didn't know if I was going to upgrade or not. And I'm very glad that I got the cellular. And with the new ones this year, I was kind of wondering, like, where do they go? Kind of what do they possibly add that's going to make this kind of like a needed upgrade? And with that bigger screen, they pretty much nailed it. I mean, they look amazing. I love the ability to put all those complications on there, on those new screens. There's like an entirely new UI for a bunch of the apps out there and for kind of working with your Apple Watch to take advantage of that bigger screen. I'm excited to see what developers do with all that new real estate that they can kind of build in. There's a lot on that new Apple Watch just dealing with the screen alone, not to mention all the other features like the improved speakers, 50% louder, I think. So that should be a lot better. I mean, we got walkie-talkie now, so you need those new speakers to kind of deal with that. Better microphones to pick up that. I'm also extremely excited for that haptic feedback on the digital crown. That's kind of a nice little touch there. ECG sensors, all the new heart rate features. There's a lot going on, and the S4 processor. The whole thing's gonna be speedier than ever. And I thought the Series 3 was already pretty much appropriately fast. I didn't have to wait any longer for Siri to kind of respond to me. Most of the other stuff is really right there. So I'm excited to see how quick this new model is.
Yeah, I expect it to be fast. And the other thing is the battery life, especially under LTE, it's 2 hours longer, correct?
I think it's the same. Well, I mean, maybe with just LTE, but the actual battery grade is still the 18 hours full day charge.
And I gotta say, so I have the Series 3 with LTE. Typically, it's on Wi-Fi, and it lasts a really long time. Where in the past with my old Apple Watch, it would just end of the day, it'd be pretty much dead. I can go 2 days with it, so I'm happy with that. And then when you go out on LTE with a little bit of boost in battery life, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, one interesting thing is that both the iPhone XS, the XS Max, and I think the XR and the Apple Watch Series 4 all have Bluetooth 5 now. And one thing we noticed with the MacBook Pro, that switched over to Bluetooth 5. So I think Apple's completely transitioning over to Bluetooth 5, and it offers a lot of range, a lot better connection and everything. So we can expect a really reliable connection to the Series 4 if you're using Bluetooth, which is really nice. And I think they did mention that the Series 4 is thinner during the event. Did you hear that, Andrew?
Yeah, it's definitely thinner. I'm not sure if I still had that spec page up, but it's significantly thinner, noticeably thinner than the current model. And I kind of always wonder, because there's kind of two thicknesses to look at with the Apple Watch. There's the actual body of it, which they kind of sometimes measure, and then there's the heart rate sensor that kind of protrudes a little bit on the back as well. So I'm kind of excited to see like the whole thing overall being thinner. It shouldn't stick out as much, and also I love that it works with all the existing watch bands. That's a big thing. They're keeping that compatibility going. I would have been bummed had I, spent all that money on like a black Milanese loop and then it doesn't work on the new ones. So I'm very glad that the sizes for bands, lugs, all that is sticking around, even though the watch sizes themselves have technically changed from 38 to 40 and 42 to 44 millimeters.
Yep, and it actually says that the display sizes got up 35% and 32%, which is huge. That's like a massive difference, for only
that we're saying about 15%. So going from 15, we're actually getting much higher than was actually rumored. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there's the new watch face. I think it said 8 complications that you can fit, right, all at once.
Yep.
And they got the new watch faces, the dynamic ones that interact with the edge, with the shape, the fire face, the water face, the vapor face. That's pretty awesome. And there's also that one that has your contacts. You can actually put your contacts on the watch face and just tap them to connect with them.
So if you guys have any questions about the Apple Watch, go ahead and ask in the comment section below. We'll try to answer you guys' questions. I think the biggest surprise for me, I know they're doing all these different upgrades, which are great, but the new health functions and
Oh yeah, that's huge.
that it can scan and monitor and do the falls as well. That was pretty surprising.
Yeah,
so not only
fall
are
detection.
are we just getting a cool device that can give you your notifications and you can text replies back and ask questions and that kind of device, but something that really makes a difference in your day-to-day life as well and health.
Oh yeah, yeah. That new ECG, electrical heart sensor. That's insane. Being able to check your, do an electrocardiogram right on your wrist. You actually just touch the crown, right? Just touch the crown
Hold it
and
for 30
hold it
seconds.
for 30 seconds, and can actually do that. And it all gets stored into a PDF that you can send to your doctor. That's incredible. Like I heard a lot of stories with the Series 3 saving lives because it detected irregular heartbeats before people would get heart attacks and stuff. It's incredible.
So now it detects those irregular heartbeats. It detects low heart rate. It can detect AFib, and now it can do the ECG, which they even got endorsed by the American Heart Association and approved by the FDA. So it's legit. This is the first ECG product they said that's available over the counter, direct to consumers, no doctor stuff necessary.
Andrew, do you see the chat there on your screen, or should we just read out some questions if you want to answer them?
Go ahead and read them out.
So we have Nick is asking, what devices will the 4 support? Do you know of any limitations that could be there?
Devices like which iPhones that it can pair with. I haven't seen anything yet. I'm assuming it should support pretty much everything that's going to be running. Everything the Watch Series 3, it should be supporting the same. I haven't seen any limitations yet. We'll have to definitely dig into those details and make sure, though.
I know one question was about the larger size, and if that's going to be too large. I'm personally excited for that. So I have the larger Apple Watch right now, and I have quite large wrists.
Yeah.
And so I think for myself, I've thought in the past that I'd like it to be a little bit larger. I think it'd look better and fit better overall. So I think I'm excited for that. I think for people with larger hands and wrists, it's going to look nice. And there's also the smaller option that people can go with.
I think there's two things I want to mention. One, we're not looking at a huge increase in the overall actual physical size of the Apple Watch. They're reducing those bezels significantly so they can increase the actual size of the screen, the display, while keeping the watch very similar in size. It is a little bit bigger. If you head to Apple's website, there is like a size comparison. And for the watches, as well as these iPhones, we're going to be making up some printing guides where you can print these things out. You can hold like the new iPhone in your hand before you order it to see what you think of those screen sizes. And the same thing for the Apple Watch. We'll kind of have something you can actually print out with like 1-to-1 scale. You can set it on your wrist, see how it looks, give you a little bit of an idea before you jump into those pre-orders, picking the 40 or the 44.
So we're taking a look at a few more questions here. I don't think any, so we have a question about third-party music streaming on Series 4. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I still haven't seen anything concrete happening yet. I know there's some more changes coming more or less in watchOS 5 and not necessarily with the Series 4. There's some more improvements to that going on. The biggest one is Spotify, and I don't think, you guys can correct me, I don't think Spotify has announced like actually going over the Apple Watch yet. There's going to be new Siri intentions for playing third-party music through Siri shortcuts. So you can kind of create your own, like saying, hey, play my workout playlist on Spotify, and those types of things should be able to work. But there's not necessarily any actual like built-in third-party streaming without the developers actually supporting it.
That makes sense. So we also have a question about when is iOS 12 coming? So that is September 17th. Another question, our thoughts on pricing. So what do you think, Andrew, for the new Series 4?
Well, let's see, what are we at here? What are we at now? We've got the the existing models are sticking around. The Series 3, extremely capable watches, very awesome. Those are staying around, and they're coming down in price, right? We're looking at $279. Is that what those were at?
I think so.
Okay. Then we've got the GPS version of the new one at $399, right?
Yep, that's
and
it.
The LTE, the cellular version, starting at $499, right?
That's quite a bit, yeah.
That seems to add up a lot, and I'm already wanting this. I have the stainless steel at the moment, and I already want the stainless steel ones again. And yeah, that's gonna and then the bigger size is more like those are the starting prices for like the 40 millimeter. If I want that 44, which I do,
Oh my gosh,
add even more on top of that.
Yeah, I think the one I looked at that I would like to get, and I don't think I will be picking it up, to be honest.
$799 for the gold stainless steel with the gold millinews loop.
Yeah, if you get the iPhone 10s Max in gold, and you got to get the watch to match it.
That's a lot.
I think it adds up to like $850 with the larger size. So it's pricey.
Yeah.
It's pricey. You still have the option to get the Series 3. I think a big selling point of the Series 4 is all those new sensors and all those kind of updates. But I think a lot of people will be happy with the Series 3. I know I am, and just the capabilities and everything it has to offer in the battery life is a really good value at that $279 price point.
Yeah, let's talk about that fall detection. That's incredible. Like, I think they're trying to broaden their market to more and more people that really aren't into tech, but with these health features, it can really help a lot of people, especially the elderly if they fall. I mean, putting a watch on a senior, it's like they don't really need it, but that's like what they're trying to do with
And
the market.
walkie-talkie, that would be convenient too.
The walkie-talkie.
To talk. Yeah. So we had a question about the RAM as well. So I guess we can go back and maybe finish up with touching up on these iPhones. As far as the RAM, I don't think there was an official announcement of any changes there. So we're probably still looking at 3 gigabytes of RAM, most likely.
It could be 4 on the 10s, but I'm not exactly sure. What do you think, Andrew?
They don't generally publish their RAM. That's usually something we see kind of after launch when people can kind of tear it down and actually check out the internals or x-ray the processors and all that stuff. So I'm sure we'll find out shortly after launch, or at least once some Geekbench scores or something start showing up, then kind of can log that information. But at least right now, we don't have any firm grasp on if they've increased it or if they've kept it the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess we're going to scan over some more questions that you guys are asking. Anything else that you want to touch on, Andrew? Maybe something you missed about any of the devices?
I don't know. I got to kind of look through what we went through. I was so heads down kind of going through all this stuff as it was being announced. How
about the AirPods? Did you catch the little thing in the beginning of the live stream?
Yep.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I thought that was a hint at like she was getting splashed, something like water-resistant AirPods, maybe some Hey Siri support. I'm sorry, everyone, I said those magic words.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of thinking that was maybe like a teaser, and it wasn't. So a little bit of a disappointment kind of right at the inset because I thought I was excited for it, and then it kind of didn't pan out.
Yeah, we were thinking new AirPods with the wireless charging case and stuff.
Yeah, we still have yet to see the wireless charging case or the AirPower. I think they're going to be released at the same time. I'm not sure when. When do you think, Andrew, that the AirPower and the...
I mean, if they hit their target, they said in 2018. So we've still got a few months left here. They can still definitely get that out before the holidays. I'm thinking the AirPods case is not the problem. We've seen 1 million third-party adapters to add Qi charging to AirPods, so that doesn't be the problem. It's definitely with AirPower. There's a lot of really awesome tech in there, being able to place the devices anywhere you want. The Series 4, Series 3 are going to support AirPower, just being able to set them down without having to use the little magnetic puck. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. I wonder if it's able to support the faster charging, the wireless charging we're getting with the new iPhones. That's definitely a consideration because before it would be able to max out at that 7.5 watts when they announced it. I don't know what it'll be now that these things support faster charging, so that remains to kind of be seen. I'm still hoping by the end of the year we're going to get this charging mat.
One thing I'm really interested for the iPhone 10s is the enhancements to the video and the camera. So they said they're combining the camera with the neural engine. So able to do a lot of things. Let me see if I can find the notes here. But detection and the smart HDR, right? They're adding the new smart HDR that's able to use, I guess, the neural engine together and apply a lot of layers, secondary layers, put it together for a lot better HDR than we saw before.
Yeah, and then they can kind of detect kind of what's happening, if it's something with action or fast motion. So they called it computational photography, I think, and that's a term that's been used in the past. And that really makes a huge difference because with these phones, we're limited in size, how large the sensors could be, how large the lens elements can be. These phones are very thin. There's so much other components that are in there. So to be able to keep improving the quality of the images that you're getting out of your phones, having a fast processor that can analyze and take so much different images and put out something that looks great makes a really big difference. And the photos coming out of these new phones are incredible, even compared to just quite expensive point and shoot cameras that are on the market right now. The quality is quite good. So it's nice to see Apple's pushing that even further.
It's very nice. And they're also improving the LTE with the gigabit class LTE that they announced during the event. So I'm wondering how fast, I guess it'll just max out. I heard that there's 5G coming too. So once that comes, we'll see like the limitations of what speeds we can see on the phone. So really excited for that.
I think we're probably going to be wrapping up here. And one question that I'm seeing here, what is the reason now that we have the iPhone 10R, I don't want to say X, the new iPhone 10R, it's 6.1 inches, it has that same camera, it has the portrait mode. What would be the reason to get the 10S? Yeah, exactly, for the upgrade there. Do you want to chime in on that, Andrew?
So the biggest, there's quite a few differences, even though a lot of the highlighting features are there. Start to get a little bit into the subtleties. There's going to be better water resistance going from that IP67 to IP68. So better water and dust resistance. It has a stainless steel frame instead of the aluminum that you're getting with the iPhone 10R. It has the dual cameras, which still should provide better photos, even though there is the portrait mode on the 10R, and it looked really good in those press images. There's definitely going to be some big differences between the two cameras when you're actually shooting, especially if you're doing anything where you're zooming in, because it automatically has that 2x optical zoom instead of using digital zoom. So there's going to be a big difference in the actual cameras. We're going to see the OLED display rather than the LCD display. That new liquid retina display looks very nice, but it is a LCD and not the OLED that we're getting with the 10S, 10S Max. So they're going to be deeper blacks on the OLED displays rather than the 10R. Is your guys' camera acting super funky right now?
It is, yes. So I think that might mean that we should wrap up.
Well, real quick then, I want to hear from you two, even though we can't see you. What device are you guys going to be getting? Are you going to be getting a new watch? Are you getting a new phone? And real quick, why are you getting those specific ones?
So personally, I'm going with the 10S Max. I was going to go with the 10S because the size is a little smaller. It's easier to use with one hand. I currently have the 8 Plus, and it's a little hard to type and just do different things with one hand. But because it's only $100 more for the 10S Max, I think I'm definitely going to go with that. And I'm also going to go with the Apple Watch Series 4 just because of all the technological improvements and definitely the screen size. A lot larger screen. You got the edge to edge. I think it's like the first major improvement. So I definitely want to go with that. What about you, Andrew?
I'm definitely going to be going with the Max as well. I'm going to go for probably the black again, stick with kind of what I'm rocking at this moment in time. So going to go with the 10S Max, and definitely going to do the Apple Watch Series 4. I'm leaning towards stainless again. Hey, we're back. I love the stainless. I'm a big watch guy. I've liked watches for a long time. So I kind of like the heftiness you get with the stainless steel models rather than the aluminum one. They just feel too light to me. So I do like the kind of the glossy finish of the stainless. Probably gonna do a space black again because it doesn't show as many imperfections around the edge as you get with the silver. I had the silver stainless for my first two Apple Watch, and on the Series 3 I went with the black, the space black, and it looks flawless after an entire year of use. So going with the 44mm space black stainless Apple Watch and the the iPhone XS Max.
Like Andrew mentioned, our camera's back. I don't know what happened there, but we got it running, so we can wrap up here. I guess I'll finish off with myself. To be honest, I don't know if I'm going to upgrade the watch. This thing is working quite well. I guess we'll have to see how we are with money too. But I'll definitely be moving up to the XS Max. I do miss having a larger display, especially when you're watching videos from the 8 Plus, and then also the better battery life. So that is going to make quite a difference for me personally. Probably go with the gold, and then also end up picking up a 10R for my wife as soon as that comes out.
I think even though my Series 3 is working like admirably well, and I like no complaints with it, the one complaint I do have is I always want more complication on the display. I don't necessarily need 8, but there's that's like the quickest way to get into something. I hate if I'm going into workouts, I have to like open a menu, then tap on workouts to do something. I want like those workout shortcuts, activity shortcuts, all those like right there on the screen. I need to dedicate at least one of my shortcuts to my Dexcom app to watch my blood sugar as a type 1 diabetic. So I do want a couple more complications on the screen, and they're not giving you that at all with watchOS 5 on the Series 3. So the only way to kind of get more complications is going with this new version. So because the complications are so important to me, being able to get that glanceable information, more of that information, I want that bigger display. I want that Series 4.
And for your XS Max, what capacity, how much storage are you going to get? You got 64, 256, or 512 gigs?
That's a good question. I don't even know what I have now. I think I've got at least 128. So I guess that's pushing me to the 256. If 120, I think that's what it's up to. So I think I'm going to have to go 64 is too small. I do a lot of video stuff, and even if I travel like to trade shows and everything, if I'm not taking DSLR, I'm shooting 4K on my phone. So if I'm going to be doing that, even though it gets stored in iCloud, it has to be local at some point. So I'm spending an entire day on a trade show floor. Before that gets uploaded to iCloud, it's still being stored here. I need more than 64 gigs, so I'm going to have to be at least at that 256 level.
That makes sense.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm personally going to go with the 64. I'm going to go with the 64, and I have a iCloud plan. I think I'm getting 200 gigs. How much is it for is it 1 or 2 terabytes?
Yeah, I got 2 terabytes for $10 a month.
$10 a month. So
if you like to store a lot of stuff, as long as you don't need, like Andrew, if you don't need the space right away, if you can wait for it to upload to the cloud and save some space on your phone, that's a really good option to go.
I'm on that 2 terabyte plan, a family plan, with Faith. So we definitely share that storage. I'm using a good portion of it as is, but still, if I'm on a trade show floor, I don't have Wi-Fi. So I'm storing it all locally because I don't think it usually uploads until you get to Wi-Fi, where it can go a lot faster and not using your data plan. So I still have to have a little bit more local storage.
That makes sense. So we have one last thing we want to mention to you guys that wasn't talked about during the actual event. We're here on Apple's website before we wrap up. Go ahead, Vadim.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed with Apple Care Plus, I think they're now offering a payment plan, $10 a month for up to 24 months instead of just buying it outright, unless you're going with the iPhone upgrade program. And like Andrew mentioned earlier, there's a new Apple Care Plus with theft and loss, which is $5 extra per month or an extra $100. So that's really nice. I don't think, they didn't have that before. So definitely gives you a lot of coverage because there's a lot of other service providers like T-Mobile. I know for sure I have T-Mobile, and they offer the theft and loss as well. So this is nice if you want to go with the iPhone upgrade program. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Sorry about the couple little glitches we had. And thank you guys for your questions. We're going to have a lot more coverage about these new phones, about the new Apple Watch, about kind of the updates with the HomePod, which we didn't mention, but you guys can check out the website. And along with that, if you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And more importantly, hit that little notification bell icon. That way, when we post up a new video or we do another live stream, you guys will get notified. You guys will make sure that you guys don't miss out on that.
Yeah.
So thank you, and stay tuned for a lot of other new good coverage and hands-on as soon as we get these new products. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. You want to say bye?
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace out, guys.